Welcome back, everybody. Duane Patterson for Hugh Hewitt today. From the 50th gathering of the American Legislative Exchange Council in Orlando, Florida, I am joined by its national chairman, one of the rock stars of the legislative class, Florida State Representative Danny Perez. You've heard him on the show before several times. He is a dynamo, and I'm glad to have you back in the Hugh Hewitt Show.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me once again. This is one of the parts that I look forward to when I come to ALEC.
I've been wanting to talk to you for the last couple of weeks, especially after what we saw the vice president say about the Florida education reform, totally gaslighting one little aspect of a guideline and attributing a conclusion of that piece of guideline that the guideline doesn't actually say. And now we've learned that there is an AP African American Studies course that the left wanted Florida to embrace, that the state decided we are not going to have anything to do with, that embraces exactly what Kamala Harris is complaining about. Can you, for the audience, kind of explain what the controversy is and what the Florida education reform actually did?
This was basically an excuse for Kamala Harris to come to Florida and make up, or at least attempt to make up, what one of her greatest problems is, which is the mass exodus of African Americans from the Democratic Party. And we're seeing it in our own backyard in Florida. And she is not getting enough credit for being an African American in the African American community. That's her pitch. And so she's chosen this topic to make Florida seem as like if it's a racist state. Florida is not a racist state. Let's get that out in the open. Quite the opposite. We just finished passing the largest curriculum of African American history in the entire country. And when we passed that curriculum, we heard from the White House, zip, nothing. They didn't say a damn thing. They kept more quiet than I'd ever seen because it didn't work to their narrative. But what we actually passed was an extensive history made up by African American scholars, most of being African Americans themselves,
right?
Most of which I guarantee you probably didn't even vote for the governor themselves. But that being said, they understood that this curriculum was important to the future generations of Florida. And in that curriculum, what is in that curriculum? In that ESA curriculum, we are talking about the history, and through the history, we are explaining exactly what it is that the slaves had to go through, and exactly what the work was that they had to perform, and in doing so, how their life ended up turning out. But in no way, shape, or form are we saying that in this curriculum, slavery had a positive component.
No, you're just teaching. You're just teaching what happened.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And look, I have to say that there's nothing Kamala Harris could do to make up for the exodus of African Americans in Florida. She's toast. The Democratic Party is toast. I'm seeing it. The Democratic Party is seeing it in the African American community and the Hispanic community. Here in Miami, my own backyard, they're losing Hispanics by the second.
Wow. Lee.
Yeah, we wanted to play a clip for you, Danny. Becky Pringle, who's the president of the NEA, was in Orlando 2 weeks ago. And this is going to be clip one on the Lee clip one. And this is what she had to say about your state. Again, she was in Orlando with 6,000 delegates from the NEA, 18,000 more listening online. Take a listen.
Come here because our children are here. We have come here because our colleagues are here. We have come to Florida because educators and students and their communities are being attacked by laws that threaten their safety and question their humanity, that block their access to every basic right that defines the word freedom.
I think you've got to end it here. But Danny, let's hear your response to this.
Where do you guys get these
clips? By the way, Danny, you're getting all these people moving to Florida. Has she looked at the data from United Van survey, seeing how many people, including, by the way, 2 weeks ago, the Wall Street Journal wrote the story about more African Americans moving to the South than any time in history. More African Americans live in the South now, 56%, than the rest of the country. What world is Becky Pringle living in?
She's not reading the room very well, is she, Danny?
No, she's not. I mean, I hadn't seen that clip, guys, but wow. Good morning. Good morning. I mean, if I wasn't awake before that, I am on fire right now. Here's the wildest part. In the universal school choice, universal school voucher bill that we just passed. It gives every single family approximately, in Miami, it's approximately $8,000 in order for the parent to choose what school is best for their child. Do you know the one of the groups that is using this the most, and we are thankful for it? It's the African American community. It's parents saying, I know what's best for my child. I know the right curriculum, and this is the school that I want them to go to. They're sending their children there, and we are watching the results for all children in the state of Florida. I mean, they are skyrocketing. K through 12 in Florida is one of the best in the entire country, and it happens because of school choice. And on both sides of the aisle, people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, they're voting for the universal school choice. I mean, I would tell her, wow, I can't get over that clip. I would tell her, come to Tallahassee and talk to the Democrats about it, because you're going to see that a lot more of them understand what universal school choice is. We're not taking away their basic rights. Quite the opposite. We're giving parents more rights for choice than ever before. So look, they keep going back to these talking points because it's what they think moves the needle. Every time I see a clip like that, I feel more and more sure that as I walk into being speaker next year, we're not only going to keep the majority in the state of Florida in the House and the Senate, but we're going to grow it, because talking points like that, it doesn't work for the Democrats.
Duane Patterson in for Hugh Hewitt, joined by Lee Habib and State Representative out of Florida and incoming Speaker Danny Perez, who is the national chairman for the American Legislative Exchange Council. Danny, ALEC, this is the 50th gathering of ALEC, and I'm sure that there are ebbs and tides of who's leading the dance between the state legislatures and the people that run ALEC. I'm sure there are periods of time when ALEC is the one really trying to push the state legislators on certain issue sets and trying to lead the dance, if you will. And then there are times when there is an issue set that is just sweeping the landscape, and ALEC is trying to kind of catch up and keep up with it and just keep the horses in the lane. Is this education issue what everybody's talking about? And is that really kind of leading ALEC, or is ALEC trying to lead the legislatures?
ALEC has led on education more than any other organization or like-minded organization in the entire country. Education has been at the front end of the model policy that ALEC has been able to roll out for other states to use, alongside some of the look, it's not just education. It's about school choice. It's about the voucher system.
Sure.
But more importantly, what we're here to celebrate with ALEC is 50 years of success, of free markets, federalism, limited government. I mean, that is what ALEC has stood for 50 years. But what I am challenging people, and what Lisa Nelson has agreed to do, is what does the next 50 years of ALEC look like? We have been so successful for 50 years, but the next generation of like-minded individuals on morals and on principles, you're starting to see a different demographic. I think I'm a perfect example of that. Parents were born in Cuba, came over here in 1969 because this country gave us every opportunity and every freedom under the sun. What does that next generation look like? And so we're starting to roll that out and we're opening our tent, and we want everyone to understand, regardless of what walk of life you come from, your home is at ALEC. We give the greatest opportunity through the policies that we're passing at this conference, and then rolling out through all states in a nonpartisan manner. This isn't about Republican or Democrats. This is about opportunity. This is about free markets. This is about allowing people to flourish without government getting in their way. Only one organization truly stands for that amongst many, the most, and in such a tough time where the media is coming after us and coming after like-minded individuals, ALEC takes most of those bullets, but it's okay. I don't mind taking that bullet as a national chairman. It's for the betterment of my children. I got 2 little ones and 1 on the way, 4, 3, and in the belly. And when I'm an old man,
congratulations! What's that? I don't think the last time we talked that wasn't.
No, we're mass producing down in Miami. And we got to make sure that we have as many conservatives.
We like that. We like that, Lee.
And so on the ESA front, and this is one of the big ones. Talk about Iowa and Arizona and all these states doing it. Are parents using it? Are we selling the win? Because if we don't sell the win, we've got a problem. Do parents know about it? How are we marketing this? How is ALEC playing a part of this? And then what happens to the school districts and what happens to the unions if tens and hundreds of thousands of parents use this? That's fewer teachers.
Well, that's an interesting question when you bring up the unions. One, Iowa's doing a great job. Speaker Toma in Arizona has been doing a great job. He's been doing a great job because he was majority leader, and they've been leading the charge. So has Florida. And what we're seeing is that in Florida, it wasn't just about the ESA model. It was about the unions. You're absolutely right, Lee. The unions I mean, they have their backs up against the wall because, what we have been able to do is we've been able to decertify some of these unions that sometimes have a minority of the teachers in their own organization and they don't truly represent the greater population of teachers, yet they're making some of these radical decisions in order for them to move their own personal agenda forward, as opposed to the agenda of the children and school choice and what is in the best interest of those children in the state of Florida. So I do agree with you that because of the ESA model, some of these unions are going to begin to decertify, and we've been able to restructure some of the fees that are happening within the unions in this own bill. But yes, teachers are using it. We've rolled out this model within the last 6 months in Florida, and Step Up for Children has done a phenomenal job. John Curley's done a phenomenal job in Florida with rolling out this program alongside the state of Florida. But it has been used more than you can imagine. I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell the governor he's got to put me on a payroll, because I'm basically getting more phone calls on ESA and rolling people through this program than he can ever imagine. Everyone in Miami is like, is this true? What do you mean you're giving us school choice and you're giving us the voucher program on funds that we can move to whatever school we choose is best for our children? Are you really letting us decide what's best for our children? Yeah, absolutely. That's Florida. Welcome. We love you. But it's very real. People are using it.
Well, the radical idea of money following the parent and not the school district, this is the revolution in the end. I mean, it unhinges the money from the school directly, and it gives parents the best choice possible. Let's talk about that if you can.
Yeah, it is. And what it's doing is it's challenging some of these schools that were coasting, because no matter what, they knew that money was going to roll into the Department of Education and the school board at the right time. Well, now they have to actually go fight and compete for those dollars, because if not, the children are going to leave. People say, what happens to some of our schools? Eventually they're just not going to be able to stay open if everyone's leaving. Well, if parents aren't wanting to send their children to a specific school, it's for a reason. That school needs to look in the mirror and say, what can we do better to make sure that our kids are prospering? Because the parents themselves will feel like their children are prospering. Well, look in the mirror, buddy. It's time for you to step up. And if you don't step up, the parents are going to have the choice to send them somewhere else.
See, America, that's what I told you. This guy is a rising star. This guy is the future of what we want coming out of state politics and bridging into ALEC leadership. Danny Perez, you're going to be back tomorrow with Hugh. Always good to talk to you. Thanks for being here, and we will see you around the conference.
Thanks, Duane. Thanks, Lee. I hope everyone has a great day.